Hey guys, welcome to A Sip of Aesthetics. I'm Dr. Abraham, and today we are here with Marla. How are you doing?
Hi, good. How are you? Hi,
Good.
everybody. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for being here. What topic are we talking about today?
So, today we are talking about what all entails getting ready for your wedding. So, if you have a wedding coming up in the summertime, we have had a lot of brides recently come in during springtime to try to get ready for summertime, but really, you should be getting ready about a year before when it comes to skincare and all the things that we offer here. So, can you tell us a little bit about that timeline, about what that looks like?
For sure. So I think you're right. Ideally, we would start about a year before just because that way we can put more of a plan. So maybe around a year before the wedding is a good time to come in and start planning. Get a consultation. That would be step one. That way you can come up with a plan and kind of go from there. Because every person might be, a little bit different. But when you have that plan, there are things that you want to start, way ahead. So, for instance, I would say in that around 9 months before would be a good time to do things like cool sculpting if needed, treatment like endolift, certain laser treatments, biostimulants, so things like Sculptra or Radiesse that can help produce collagen. And the reason you want to start earlier with some of that stuff is because these are things that are gonna take time for the results to show, and so you wanna have enough time to be able to see the results.
Yeah, it takes time for the results to show, and then a lot of them are also in a series. So you want to be able to have enough time to have enough treatments and enough in the series so that you can really see those results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're doing like Sculptra, for instance, like 4 weeks before your wedding, you're not going to see those full effects by the time your wedding is. And the other thing, a lot of these things, they last a long time. The results, if you're doing something where the results are going to be lasting for 2-3 years, then there's no need to do it a month before the wedding. Do it beforehand, so that way your face gets that new collagen, for instance, if that's what we're trying to do, and then you can complement it with some of the other treatments that you have to do closer to your wedding day for the more perfect results.
Absolutely. And it's not like you're just going to look amazing on your wedding. These are results that are going to last for years to come. So it's great to get a head start on it, but it's nice to have the wedding as the motivating factor to jumpstart it. What about things to do possibly like 3 months out to a month out? What does that look like?
Yeah. So when we do the complementary consultation, kind of mentioned, we kind of group them. Group one would be these things that we've just talked about that would take longer. So, cool sculpting, for instance, is a method to help get rid of some of the extra fat that somebody might have, and they might need a couple of treatments.
Yeah.
But the results, again, they can last very, very long time. Endolift is another popular treatment right now that helps with tightening the skin. It's done in the face and the neck a lot. So again, it's going to take some time for the results. Now, after that, let's say around 6 months, that's a good time to start doing things like fillers. And I would at that point start Botox too if they haven't had it before, just because that Botox, if you do it 6 months before, it might not last, all the way to the wedding day. So they might need to do it again, but just so that it's not their first time doing Botox, a couple of weeks before the wedding.
Yeah, see how it settles in, see how they're, how it lies on their face. So it's nice to kind of do that 6 months out if they've never done it before. And then again, maybe that 3 months out, just so they, have it a little fresher.
Exactly. And that way we can also learn more about their face, how many units, they needed, how their face responded to that amount of Botox. So that way when it's their wedding day, we have enough information to kind of give them more of that, perfect treatment for that time. Because everybody's face is going to react a little bit differently. So if you've never done Botox before, I think Botox is a great treatment. But ideally, yes, you've done it one time before the big day, or more than, right before the big day, just so we can see how you react. So it's a good time to do things like fillers. Fillers are going to last, typically speaking, again, depending on which one we're doing, which area, they're typically going to last a year or even more. So that's why it's good to do them again when you have some time before, start thinking about it 6 months before. That way, again, if you want to come back and do a little bit more, initially there could be some swelling, some bruising. So again, you don't want to do it a week or two before your wedding. You want to give yourself time.
Yeah. just like dress alterations or anything else, you know, it's like you want to give enough time so that you look perfect on your big day and aren't, you know, having any surprises.
You get caught up getting everything else ready, but obviously you want to make sure that you're getting yourself ready as well.
Absolutely. How about like the month of, and then take us to the week before? What are your thoughts on things you should maybe do or avoid?
Yeah, I think in that 6 to 3 month period, kind of, you can also do things like a chemical peel. Again, things where, especially if you haven't done it before, where there might be a little bit of a downtime and you want to see how your skin reacts. But I think the month before the wedding is where you want to do that kind of last Botox treatment before the wedding. So
Okay.
let's say you did it 6 months before,
Okay.
or 5, 6 months before. A month before is a good time to do that Botox because again, it will last you a good 3 to 4 months, but Botox can take a couple of weeks to really kick in and might take a little bit longer to really peak. So you don't want to do it because if somebody comes in and they're like, I want to do Botox today and my wedding is like 3 days from now, they might see some results by then, but they're not going to have the full effects of that Botox by that time. So doing it a month before is a great time. It's also a great time to do something like a facial and start kind of getting your face ready. And then any touch-ups on fillers or things like that, I would do in the 2 to 3 months before is a good time to do that. If you wanted to do a gentle peel at that point, you still can. Any lasers, any final lasers. You want to also do them, not in the last month, but before that. Ideally, lasers, if you needed any lasers, you've started before, especially if you needed a series of lasers.
You're kind of doing the last portion of the series that,
Exactly.
at that 2 month or so mark.
Exactly.
Before the wedding.
Needed.
Okay, so now we're down to the wire in that last month's worth of time. I would say a facial.
For sure.
If they haven't been doing facials before, maybe do one like a month before, and then possibly if their skin reacts well, to do it maybe the week before the wedding, just to kind of get that final glow going. And then we also offer something called Aqua Glow that I'll let you explain a little bit more about. It gives you kind of that filtered look. So how does that work?
Yeah. So I think kind of the point you're making too is that last month before the wedding, you don't want to, like, this is not the time to try, like, crazy new treatments, exactly, or things that are going to have a lot of downtime that are really going to change your face. This is the time to kind of do more gentle treatments or treatments that you've already had before, like a little Botox. You know how kind of your skin reacts. Things like a facial, a nice facial to kind of get your skin ready. Aqua Gold can help give the face a nice glow, and it's a gentle treatment. It doesn't have much downtime. But sometimes it's called the red carpet facial. I've heard it referred to as that because, again, mild downtime, but it gives a nice glow to the face that can last, a few months. So it's a great thing to do right before the wedding, a week or 2 weeks before the wedding. I would say the week of the wedding, maybe don't do anything, a very mild facial, if anything like that, just to kind of, again, get your skin hydrated and ready. But even something like Aqua Gold, which is very gentle, I would do at least like 2 weeks before the wedding, just in case you have any kind of reaction and your skin taking a little bit longer to heal.
Yeah, I really like that advice. I think, the week before the wedding, you're already going to be stressed out. You're already, there's so much going on, there's family in town. It's like, just cleanse your face, simple serum, simple moisturizer, what you know works, and just leave it be. It's not time to try anything crazy at that point. What about the groom? I feel like we've kind of left him out of the picture. You're getting married soon. What have you been doing treatment-wise? If anything, I mean, you look great, so.
Thank you. Yeah, my wedding is actually coming up, and I'm actually going to do Botox this coming week because that would just put me at that 4-week mark. So, and I should do a facial right after that. I haven't scheduled that yet, but that's kind of the plan. I've done a laser recently, just kind of quick resurfacing. But yeah, we've talked a lot about the bride. We haven't really talked too much about the groom, but they also should, kind of do that consultation and kind of figure out what kind of treatments they need. It's also going to vary from person to person, but same kind of concept, start with treatments, things like biostimulants, things that are going to last a long time and might have more of a downtime. You want to start earlier. And as you get closer and closer to the wedding day, you want to do more gentle treatments. You want to do your last touch of Botox. A facial is usually great. So that kind of stuff. I think another treatment that we didn't really mention too much, but something like cool tone, we have a lot
Oh,
of.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So cool tone
Absolutely.
is basically it helps with muscle stimulation. So it's used a lot in
Yes.
the abs, quads, and glutes.
Especially if they just haven't been going to the gym as much, they've been preoccupied with, wedding planning and, like we said, family in town, whatnot. It can really help to give them like that six pack or that look, for the honeymoon, or for, looking good in their suit and their tux while they're standing up there, and give them a boost of confidence. Also helps with posture and, keeping that core tight. So.
Awesome. So I think probably the most important point that we've kind of mentioned a few times, but just worth stressing one more time, the key is to start early.
To start earlier than you think.
Exactly.
For sure.
Plan.
Yeah.
It never hurts to plan. Start planning a year before. Figure out what treatments. And, some people are going to need more of one type of treatment. Some people might not need it.
Yeah.
Some people might just only need to do some Botox. But if the last thing you want to do is come in, for your consultation a month before your wedding and then be like, oh man, I really wanted to do all these treatments, but then I just don't have time.
Yeah.
Because you just didn't plan beforehand. So start planning early, and then based on that, you can come up knowing how much downtime there's with each treatment, how long it takes to get these results, and how long do these results last. Knowing all that information will help you plan better for sure.
And, it is wedding season right now. So I feel like we've had so many clients come in. Either they have a wedding coming up this summer, or they're starting to, pick out whether they're guests or it's actually their wedding, or they have their high school reunions coming up. We kind of get these, people coming in almost like a panic mode the week before. So that's why we're trying to put this content out here to, get people in the mode of, wanting to start early. And we always want to make sure that we're setting realistic expectations, and making sure people know that, these things do take time. They take time to heal. They take time to see the results. And, we want people to be, happy and feeling confident, and not just coming in here in that stage of what can I do now to, make it worth it. So
it's a big day, and
Yeah.
most people want to look their best for that kind of day. It's completely understandable, and that's what we're here for. And like you just said, it doesn't have to be a wedding. I mean, we're just using that as an example, but if it could be like a big anniversary coming up or any kind of special events, it's always nice to plan early.
Yeah,
See how
absolutely.
it goes.
Kind of like working out or anything else, you got to chip away at it so you can see the results later on.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm sure we'll have you back soon for another episode.
Sounds good.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment, and we'll see you next week.